What's going on? Good morning or good afternoon, I should say. It's Grinders. It's your boy Jersey 26 here with my main guy, TJ Zwarych, _5. As you can see, we're back here for another edition of FanDuel Friday. This time it's not live, but we're doing what we can, what we got to do with it. And it's Friday, so we're going to start with, we're going to do two shows for you today. But the first one we're bringing up to you is the MLB show. We're back to MLB. It's the last couple of weeks of the season. We got a lot of teams in good positions for the playoffs and making a push for the wild card spots too. So we're here to break it down for you to make sure you get to good plays and get the good lineups in so you guys can win some money. TJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. We don't have quite as special of a show because we're not live, but it's still a pretty special day because we're doing back to back with baseball and football, and I'm doing well. I'm not in a classroom right now because I've kind of decided I don't know if that's for me at the moment, and I'm feeling pretty nice about that. And so I'm ready to talk some baseball, ready to talk some football after that. We got a weird baseball slate, so this one's going to be fun to talk through, get our DFS brains flowing a little bit, and then we'll dive into football.
Yes, definitely for sure. No, that feel it for sure. It's a good point where you just have some financial, some freedom and able to do what you want to do at the same time. But I know you'll also do great things, especially with your age as a fan. That we talked more about that off screen. But like you said, we're going to start with pitching here today, where we have a nice big slate today. And pitching is kind of weird. It is definitely kind of weird today. We have Josiah Gray from the bat projections as the highest as the highest fantasy points pitcher, and highest point per dollar as well. With the matchup against Miami, followed by Tijuana Walker for the Mets against Pittsburgh, and then the one and only Justin Verlander with the matchup against Oakland. Those are the top three that I'm seeing here today. And then within like fractions of a point, decimals of a point of each other, literally. What do you think about those top three pitchers today, TJ?
I don't think I really want to play any of them. Like, I think the one I'd be most interested in would probably just be Taiwan Walker because of the lack of ownership going to him. And we just saw what Carlos Carrasco did against Pittsburgh yesterday. I think he had 6 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. He striked out his first 6 batters. Um, Josiah Gray is giving up the most home runs per nine in the league, I believe. Justin Verlander is coming off the injured list. You go a little bit below that in our projections, and we got Blake Snell against the Arizona team that I really don't like picking on with left-handed pitchers. So like, it's tough. Like, you look around other than that, and you got Robbie Ray in a difficult matchup. You got Lucas Giolito in a really good matchup, but it's Lucas Giolito. Jack Flaherty's very cheap, but he's coming off of a season where he's missed a lot of time due to injury, and he hasn't pitched more than 5 innings yet this year. He's projecting very well, but I'm assuming that also is accounting for a lot of his previous numbers, and so he's a bit of a question mark. I think this is a slate that you can pretty much play whatever pitcher you want. If there's somebody off the board and you're feeling particularly good about, if you really want to lock and load Jesus Luzardo, go for it. If you really want to lock and load Lucas Giolito, go for it. If you want to if you want to mess around and play Dustin May, that may be a bad example, but whoever the heck you want, Madison Bumgardner today, Adrian Hauser today, I don't like it, but you can, because I think literally any of these pitchers could end up being optimal, and I don't think pitching is going to be how the slate's won today.
Yeah, I definitely think pitching is definitely not going to be how the slate won unless someone like throws a no hitter. But I personally, I like Josiah Gray. I know he's been not that great his past couple games. As you can see, there were a little bit of a tough match against St. Louis and the Mets, who hardly strike out to begin with. But this is a match against Miami, and Miami's been like not that great all year. Granted, he's had decent games against them, so I think he probably has the most strikeout upside on the slate. Since he's a really talented strikeout pitcher, so I like him a lot today. Verlander's 11K, so it is expensive. I don't mind getting to him a little bit too as my option number two. And then my third one that I'm thinking about going with, it's kind of hard to say, but I do like Lucas Giolito. It's just that he hasn't been the best lately, but I think we can see this spot against Detroit. We can see him pitch pretty decently well, and 9K just might be a little bit too expensive. So I feel like you just want a pitcher that can get you around like 30, like between 35 and like 40, maybe 45 fantasy points today. But if you can find that and get it for as cheap as you possibly can, why not go that route if possible? So, like Robbie Ray against the Angels, I would thought he would have been predicting a little bit better, but he has not been that great lately either. So, uh, yeah, that's not that my post going to be pretty much. I can say probably spread out, but also focus on certain guys too as well that have the strikeout upside and could be good against these matchups that they have.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you there, and I actually don't know if that I won't take shots on somebody like a Dustin May or a Tristan McKenzie. Um, I think primarily I would be more likely to look to somebody like a another guy we didn't mention is Max Fried, and I think if he's gonna go overlooked today, I think he's definitely an interesting option because even though Philly's a good team, they do have some strikeouts in there. But I think Lizardo and Giolito in that 9K range would probably be the first place I'd look to. But I don't hate the idea of taking a shot on guys like Max Fried, Tristan McKenzie, Dustin May as well. Just people that nobody else is going to have and might put up 43 while the others put up 37 kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, I don't like trying to go off last like the data, but from like this year, let's like as far as more recent games. But Tris McKenzie did just play Minnesota and have 46 fantasy points and 5 strikeouts with 7 innings too. So that's not even bad there. But the other two matches he had previously were not that great of a showing against Minnesota. So it's all just about matchups and how they're doing around this time of year, um, and also how they're feeling. So I
And
think
outside of like Miranda, Kepler, Urshela, Correa, everybody else in their projected lineup is over 25% 25% strikeouts today. So I definitely think Tristan McKenzie is a very interesting tournament option today, especially if we end up getting a lot of lefties in the lineup because he's actually reverse splits with his strikeouts and he strikes out 28% of lefties and gives up less power to them as well.
oh yeah, definitely for sure because he's one of the more talented. I would say more talented strikeout pitchers on the slate that we have. Max Fried though too. I love the call that you said with Max Fried. I think he's an interesting play today because Philly does strike out. Fried has been pretty much consistent almost all year. He had a couple little hiccups here and there, but other than that, he's been consistent, and that's the guy I think we can count on to possibly get you around like I said, around that 45 mark fantasy points wise today. He got 37 against the team last time. And I think he can definitely do that for sure, if not more. So I like the Freed call a lot today. That's the one I probably might get a little bit over on. Flaherty, I probably would be out unless, as you mentioned before, not going more than 5 innings. And on FanDuel, the one thing you want is that bonus if you can get it. So you want to make sure you get pitchers that make it to the 6th inning and get that for you for sure. So
I honestly kind of like the idea today on FanDuel of playing five total lineups and just trying to pick and choose my favorite offenses on this big slate and make the same lineup or close to the same lineup with the same two stacks with a little adjustment with both Tristan McKenzie and Zach Fried. And then I want to do the exact same thing with Jesus Luzardo, Taijuan Walker, and Lucas Giolito.
nice. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I think that's not a bad idea actually at all too. And Verlander, do you think that the price is just too much for him to pay, even though if this matchup is Oakland? Because we seen him dominate Oakland, where he got like last year played Oakland 10 strikeouts for 6 innings at 58 fantasy points, and that could be a game changer right there in itself.
He's the one who's most likely to break the slate, but just it's Oakland they're facing Oakland. It's in Houston, which is obviously not as good of a pitcher's park as Oakland. And Oakland's been hitting the ball pretty darn well lately, kind of against all odds. But Houston has the division all sewn up, and he's coming off the injured list. Like I honestly think I'd be, especially since Verlander's picking up 20%. I think I would probably full fade Verlander, even if I was running 150 lineups, because they have the division lead by 13 games and they're playing Oakland and he just came off the injured list. Why would they be pushing him, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You got a good point there with that. So, uh, especially when you said the division wrapped up, you want to make sure he's just healthy and getting into the playoffs. They've got and the umpire they have right now is a pitcher's umpire, which helps out a little bit too as well.
If ownership kind of stands close to what we're looking at right now with Josiah Gray and Justin Verlander being the two highest owned, which I don't know if that will be the case. I bet that's going to flatten out a little bit. Like it's early in the day as we record this. We're looking at the bat projections, and so it's probably just correlating exactly what the percentage owned is going to be based on the fantasy points. So I'm sure we're going to get this changing and it's going to even out. I bet Taijuan Walker picks up a little more. Lucas Giolito picks up a little more. Jesus Luzardo picks a little more. Snell picks up a little more. And I same with Robbie Ray. I bet he picks up a little more. And I think Verlander and Gray are going to flatten out a little bit. But if that's not the case, if Verlander and Gray are going to be the highest owned guys, the only two above in double digits, above 15%, then I'm going to just be giving both those guys the X button.
Completely understand that. So, and I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't fault anyone for that at all. I'm going to take a chance. If I was playing 150, I would just do a little bit of each guy. Be definitely underweight though for sure. Try to get some of these other guys that are lower owned because the volatility on baseball in general is just so high. Uh, but we're gonna wrap up pitching. Is there any last thoughts you want to say about pitching before we move on to hitting?
No, play whoever you want.
Shout out to Blender. I haven't seen him in a minute.
I had a
Okay.
show with him yesterday, I think, and it was the first time I've seen him in a long time. It was nice. 2 days ago.
Nice. Yeah, he's a great guy. Very knowledgeable too. Shout out to the DFS his show that he has that he puts on every morning. Go watch that definitely for sure. It's a great show to definitely learn about the sport. The sport of DFS, the competitiveness of it, and also just get an idea of how to build lineups correctly and also where to get different and strategy wise. So, hitters today, we have obviously, like I said, a nice set of games here today. Couple totals over 5 with like Houston, Boston, that we have here today. A couple that are close to it, with like St. Louis as well, and the Mets. So, what are some of the other teams that you're looking at targeting today, and the hitting and the hitters?
So much like pitching today, this is one that's pretty darn spread out. It's such a big slate, and it's kind of weird how little we have standing out. Like, I think Boston is going to be the top stack on the slate today, but they're also probably going to be the chalkiest. I like Houston. I think San Diego's in a good spot. I think Seattle's in a good spot. I think the Blue Jays are in a good spot. But all those teams, I think, are going to be the chalkiest teams, and I really don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Like, I think it's such a big slate that we're not going to have to worry. Like, we're not going to have to worry about our lineups being duped, stuff like that. But those are kind of, although those are the teams I recognize as the top teams, I think they're also who everyone else is recognizing as the top teams. And because of that, it does make me want to get overweight on somebody else that just nobody is playing, because I think the range of outcomes for all of these teams today are so similar. So while I kind of view Boston, the Padres, Houston as my top teams, and I hoped Toronto would be a little bit sneakier, but they're just really not actually projecting all that well against Jordan Lyles, I find. So maybe there's somewhere due to how Lyles gives up power. I might
Right now,
look to them for a few one-offs.
right now they're projected as a top overall old stack and a top
Okay,
percentage right now on FanDuel.
so yeah, sorry, I had the wrong projections up. I got to switch to the bat here. So that makes me feel a lot better that they're projecting really well in the bat, because I wanted to like them a lot more than what I was looking at. So that gets me excited. And so the Jays are picking up a bit of ownership, but in comparison to them being the top stack, not at all. So they're a team I'm going to want to get to in abundance. And the other teams for tournaments I think I want to look at are going to be the Mets, maybe some Dodgers, as well as the Braves. Most of the pitchers on this slate are just pretty good, not great, but pretty good. And so I kind of want to go out of my way to target the teams who are the top offenses, regardless of who they're pitching against today. So we're talking the Blue Jays, we're talking the Braves, we're talking the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Dodgers going against Logan Webb. That's going to be really, really, really sneaky today, because no one's probably going to be on them really that much. So I don't mind that call for sure at all today. It's going to be a little bit of a tough spot. I personally like the White Sox as my low owned team as long as they can come through and play. But I've lost so much money on the White Sox this season. It's been ridiculous, betting wise and DFS wise. They're in a great spot. It's just a matter of if they're going to hit the ball and play well. I don't mind a Tampa Bay mini stack today. I think that's a good option. I do like the Toronto call. I think that's a great call today as well. Houston as well, Boston, Atlanta. I don't mind taking shots on them a little bit too. And you got to take a shot against with the Yankees a little bit. I think it's a mini stack against for them against Adrian Hauser, but you can still make it where's a 4 man on here, especially on FanDuel where 4 mans are going to probably be the most optimal way to go in my opinion. I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind. I don't also mind taking shots on a little bit of Cleveland too as well. Cleveland's been another team that's been up and down all season, um, but I think that they're in a good spot today as well.
Yeah, I like those calls, and I honestly, the more I look at it, the more I think my favorite like sneaky options of the day are going to be the Dodgers and Braves, because the Dodgers and Braves should never, ever, ever be sneaky options. And so because of that, I was looking at I had just the wrong projections and thing up in general. I was looking not even at the right site today for ownership, and so that's why I was so off originally. But I think on FanDuel we're actually going to see a decent amount of concentrated ownership to Boston, San Diego, Houston, and then the next highest will probably be Toronto, I'm thinking. And so um, Atlanta and the Dodgers, two fantastic offenses, and I'm very interested in both of them today. Like Ranger Suarez facing the Braves, he hasn't been like he's been fine to right-handed batters this year, and the only lefties he's probably going to face are Michael Harris and Matt Olson. But like his only thing is really ground balls, and he's facing Swanson and Riley, uh, who just hit the ball up in the air a ton. Grissom, who's hit the ball up in the air a ton early in his career. Uh, Grossman's a fly ball hitter, and he walks over 10% of right-handed batters, and their right-handed batters have over a 10% walk rate. So I think this could be a dangerous day for Ranger Suarez, and Austin Riley I think is going to be one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate.
Yes, definitely for sure, and I don't mind that call at all, especially when you're looking at like the standings too, what matters. So, the Atlanta's right now leading the wild card race. They actually have that I think on lock. They're right now 88 and 55, 10 games up from from back from anyone. They're probably about 8 games ahead of Philadelphia, for the division that they have. They're a game back. They are 1 game back at the Mets. So they're still trying to win the division, I think. And I think they're going to be trying to fight for that really hard. So why not be in a spot where you can try to do that and also separate yourself against the Phillies more? So I like that spot a lot, especially with the Riley call. I think Atlanta is definitely one of my favorite slow old stacks that I think have potential to go off today and have a monster game. I know we normally just try to sometimes get some positions, but just give me a couple of your favorite plays that you're looking at today from some of these teams that you like.
So Austin Riley is going to be, I don't think we've ever done a Spidey bomb on the FanDuel Friday show before, but here it is. Spidey's yelling at me that Austin Riley is going to hit a dinger. So we're going to roll with it today. He's going to hit one out of the park. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter yet, but there is a official Spidey Bombs account that somebody is running on Twitter. And I'm assuming it's the same person who is using did the Spidey Bomb hit yesterday account on YouTube. And 2 days back from Chicago, the Spidey Bombs hit 2 days in a row. The Twitter account is feeling good. So Austin Riley is going to be one of them. And let me double check here which of these two players I want to pick for my second one. We won't go 3, but we're going to pick 2 of them. It is, Freddie Freeman's hitting one out of the park today as well.
Freddie Freeman, Free Money Freddie. I love Freddie Freeman. He's one of my
good Canadian guy.
A great player, a great hitter. So I love that today. It's a great spot. I think he can definitely hit with go yards today against Logan Webb. So I don't mind that today. Me personally, I gotta get my little battering bomb, as I call it. It's a little bit of tough matchups. Tough to pick which guys that I like today because there's so many. Obviously, go with a guy like Aaron Judge, who I think is gonna clearly knock one out the park. But I'm gonna go with the left. I'm gonna go with my main guy, who probably was my favorite player this year so far. Jordan Alvarez going against Martinez. I don't think he's going to yard a little bit in a couple games. So I would look for him to knock one out the park today. I know it's a little bit chalky, but I think he definitely gets there for sure. And then I'm going to go with something a little bit under the radar. Someone that I want to see hit a home run. And that's from my New York Yankees. And that's going to be Giancarlo Stanton today against Adrian Hauser. I think he's going to go yard today. I want to see it. And let's make it happen. They come to fruition today. So before we get out of here, what is your strategies that you're going to be using today on the slate? Like, are you going to be sticking to 4 mans? You're going to play a little 3 mans?
I will start my lineups with the intention of rolling out 4 mans, and if it for like 4 stacks, and if it ends up in a 4-3 or 4-2, I have no problem with that. But I'm going to be specifically targeting am I seeing that right? Is Juan Soto on your screen at $2,700?
Yes, he has not been hitting the ball well.
Juan Soto is $2,700?
Yes, he hasn't been hitting the ball well lately.
I want to play 150 lineup so I can lock in Juan Soto.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a live first look at TJ Zwarych, at TJ's face when he found out Juan Soto was $2,700.
No wonder San Diego's ownership is so high, because everybody's going to want to play once. That's nuts. I don't care how bad he's hitting the ball. That's a top 5 at worst 10 hitter in baseball at 2,700. Yeah, that's crazy. FanDuel's doing some nuts things right now with Stanton and Soto, and just even seeing JD Martinez and Luis Robert's names that cheap in the outfield. So yeah, anyways, I will be looking for a 4-4 stack initially, but if it doesn't happen, I am okay with that. I'm even good with a chalky Juan Soto as a one-off, because $2,700 is crazy. But to me, I really think the edge on this slate isn't so much to do with lineup construction, as we've kind of pinpointed some good tournament options that not many people are going to be going to. If everybody's going to be playing Josiah Gray and Justin Verlander, don't play literally anybody else. 2 of the guys we're liking for tournaments, Max Fried and Tristan McKenzie. Seeing how cheap some of these guys are in the outfield, it's really making me think there's no point for me going down to a guy like Giolito or anybody in the 8K range. I just want to make my tournament teams with Max Fried and Tristan McKenzie. And then I'm going to stack them up with, yes, I'll still have some the chalkier teams like San Diego and Toronto, maybe a little Boston, but my primary tournament targets are the Dodgers and the Braves.
Completely understand that. So mine's definitely gonna four. As you know, when a slate like this happens, I'm a 4-man guy. So give me 4 3s and 4 2s all day. So I'll do a little bit of 4 4s, but mainly 4 3s and 4 2s. And I'm gonna just have my top teams. I'm gonna play the top teams that I like today a lot. Houston, Atlanta, the Boston. I like today a lot. Uh, the Dodgers, I'll play a little bit of the Dodgers. The Mets, the Toronto, we're going to be significantly high on as well. And a little bit of the Chicago White Sox today. So, yeah, that's the teams I'm going to be looking at playing and targeting today. And yeah, that's it. So, and the pitching recap, give that real quick. I'm going to try to like pay attention to ownership with them. I don't mind taking some shots to Josiah Gray and Verlander and being a little bit underweight on them, but getting a little bit overweight on guys like McKenzie, Freed, Giolito, in my opinion, and maybe a little bit of Walker today as well, too. And before we get out of here, TJ, is there anything else that you have?
Nope, that's I think all of it for the baseball slate. I DM my Spidey Bombs to the Spidey Bomb Twitter account, so make sure you check that out. Hit the like button on YouTube before we get out of here as well. And let's log off, grab a quick sip of water, and talk some football.
Yes, definitely. So we'll be back in a bit. I hope you have a great one. Thank you.